Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Toblach in the Italian Südtirol for the women's sixth stage of the 2016 Tour de Ski in its 10th edition. As I said, we're in the Südtirol, about 70 kilometers from Bolzano in the Puster Valley. This is a resort which has been made famous by the Santerre family, and indeed, as Mike Dixon, who's alongside myself, David Goldstrom, will tell you, the Santerres are very instrumental in making the whole of this particular location work like clockwork. And ahead of us, the 5-kilometer race. But before we do that, we rewind 48 hours to Oberstdorf. And here's Mike with his thoughts on the last race.
Well, David, it's all really been about the three ladies here, TdS, Johaug and Østberg and Heidi Weng. And there's Heidi Weng, and as a mass start, here they are all lined up for their journey of 10 kilometers. And many thought the domination would go on, and that TdS would try and break this field early, but she didn't seem to have the legs after 5 minutes. She tried to get away, but being held back by Østberg and Weng. And even when it came to the sprints, Johaug tried to get them. Østberg was going ahead, but slowly but surely the strength of Johaug managed to break down her teammates. And in that final climb, she knew she had to get to the top of this final climb first in order to get ahead of the sprinter Østberg, to gain those precious 15 seconds bonus and try and close the gap, which she did achieve to Østberg, who started with some 28 seconds, and TdS reduced it to a 14-second lead.
Today, and I and Ing will go together the whole time, and we help each other. So yeah, it was a fair race. So and I know that I had to do it in the last lap. Ingvild was really hard today, so I tried to push myself up the second last hill, and then I get to second, and I think no, she will take me down, but I have this gap, and I try to go good on the skis and focus on the technique, and it's really good to stand up to the podium again.
Well, and crossing the lines, damage limitation there, 9.9 behind for Østberg, and Heidi Weng just coming in behind that.
And so Ingrid Østberg really coming of age in this Tour de Ski. She's shown massive improvement in the classic races, but of course this has been a characteristic in Oberstdorf, hasn't it?
It has. Look at this, and Kowalczyk went down, she brought down Kalla, she brought down Stina Nilsson, two of the Swedes, losing some 30 seconds in that fall, as you would at those speeds. Sadly, it does turn the race around a situation like that.
So here we are live, just under 10 minutes to go here in Toblach for the women's 5-kilometer individual freestyle. 6 minutes to go here in Toblach before stage 6 for the women in this year's Tour de Ski. And let's catch up with the tour leader, Norway's Ingvild Skrulstad Østberg.
Ingvild, yeah, first interval start race of the tour, 5K here in Toblach. We were here a couple weeks ago. You know the course well. Looking forward to staying in the red bib another day.
I'm surprised I still have the red bib, so I will fight hard for it. But yeah, individual start, that's maybe even better for TdS than me. But this year I've been really strong, and maybe I can surprise, but I guess I have to give my red bib away, but I'm looking forward for the 5K skates.
Well, you said a couple days ago that you finally deserved to have the red bib, and I believe everyone would agree that you do deserve to be in the red bib.
Yeah, it was really fun to take the red bib after the race in Lensreide, and I didn't believe, or I believed that I could keep it after the sprint, but not after the 10K in Oberstdorf. So this has just been so amazing tour for me so far, and I don't know what to say anymore, because this is so much more than I expected. So I'm just enjoying skiing, and that my body still feels great. And yeah, it's a long tour, and yeah, you can have a bad day, as you as the days go along now. So I just have to keep on working and resting and eating and all the stuff you have to do to keep in good shape.
Yeah, well, we hope it continues to go well. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Indeed, a young woman who really is growing in strength. But now time to concentrate on this sixth stage. Østberg leading by 12 seconds in the overall Tour de Ski from TdS Stge and Heidi Weng of Norway 2 minutes and 33 seconds behind. A 1-2-3 for Norway with Anne Kolonen, who'll be last to start in this upcoming race for Finland in fourth place, but over 4.5 minutes to make up. Well, Heidi Weng's been as strong as anyone in the Tour, and Mike, you've got to say that these three Norwegians have been the absolute dominant force.
Well, they're sort of head and shoulders up front. Look at the fourth athlete, of course, Kiloinen, as you said, 4:44 behind Østberg's lead time. So it really is about the three Norwegian girls. I was a little surprised with Østberg's interview, David. She said, well, she's almost accepted that she's going to give the red bib away by the end of today because Teresa is a better time trialer than she is. I agree, on paper she is, but Østberg's in so much form here, why not keep hold of it longer?
So just 3 minutes to go to the start of the race on a chilly morning early on, warming up a little bit now, but still winter has definitely arrived. It's just one journey of 5 kilometers, one loop, and here's Mike with his thoughts on that test.
Well, look at the little undulations up to 750 meters. Then you've got, in terms of real rise, it's only 55 meters rise, but in just over a kilometer to the high point, and then an undulating journey back down into the stadium. Really, it'll be a big attack to the high point and then survival down, almost like an absolute sprint race this for the ladies.
Well, once again, a very good afternoon from Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom. Here, the list of the 46 survivors, shall I say, from 14 nations who are entertaining stage number 6 in this unique test. This 5 kilometer individual start has never been tried in the Tour de Ski until today. And as you look down this list, I think, Mike, it's really interesting. Are there any tactics? For me, it would seem over this distance, it's just go for it.
I think so, yeah. You have to be a little careful. We saw Therese Johaug and Lenzer Heide go far too hard in the pursuit competition with Østberg starting 5 seconds behind her. Therese just went into a little panic. She wasn't flowing, she wasn't relaxed, and that tripped her up later for Østberg to pass her. So you have to pace yourself into it and then open up to max within the first K.
30-second start intervals. The seeded group, the best racers going towards the end. Anne Kolonen, wearing bib number 46, will be the last, so she will get the best of the time splits. But interestingly, Therese Johaug wearing 40 and Østberg wearing 38. So it's Johaug who's going to get the splits on Østberg. But also, this might be a day for Charlotte Culler. If you go back 6 years, she was winning Olympic gold in Vancouver over 10 kilometers freestyle. We know that anything around this 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers freestyle should be the sort of race where she can get really involved.
Very much so. Certainly she must, and the Swedish team have done well here in this Tour de Ski, one of the stronger nations, and that she must believe, Callum must believe she's got a chance for a top 3 and a chance for the victory. When we saw what she did at the World Champs last year in freestyle.
And I'm really fascinated to see how she gets on. Charlotte Culler lying in 5th place.
Forza Italia!
Indeed, we're in Italy for the 6th stage of the Tour de Ski, within 60 seconds of the first of the 46 contenders, those who've survived until this point, from Lenzer Heide to Oberstdorf and now into Toblach in the Südtirol of Italy, before we go on over the weekend to Val di Fiemme, and then that tortuous final climb of 9 kilometers up Alp Ceramis. Mike Dixon, alongside myself, David Goldstrom, and this is just one 5-kilometer loop, not the toughest test in the world, but at this stage of the Tour de Ski, pretty important, particularly for the tour leader, Østberg of Norway, who will start 12 seconds ahead of Teresa Johaug. But this is the woman who's going to get us underway, the very promising Petra Novakova for the Czech Republic, just 22 years of age. But Mike, I think this young Czech woman has really announced herself on the World Cup stage this season.
Oh, she really has, and we saw it in the caption there, 6th in Lillehammer, the skiathlon. So that was 7.5 classic followed by 7.5 freestyle. She is really showing her credentials this year, and at a very young age. We'll see a lot of her in the future.
Elena Soboleva for Russia, also one of the younger members who's been involved in recent years in the junior and under-23 World Championships. The Russian women's team really in a stage of reconstruction.
They are, it's rebuilding, and I think that's why we still see, what, 7 of the Russian athletes taking part. They're the biggest team here to give them the experience, and it's a rich experience, though painful.
Deborah Agraita of Italy, and of course this part of the world here, it wouldn't be there wouldn't be a competition if it wasn't for the Santer family.
Santer family, the 3 sisters, and the tracks are all named after them as well. The father owns a big hotel down here, yes, today Natalie is the chief of the race. In December at the World Cup, when it came here, it was her sister Saskia who was chief of race.
Monique Siegel for Germany to start her challenge. Not really broken through this season, and World Cup points have been few and far between for the 27-year-old. But the next young woman is another of the Norwegians who've been so, well, I was going to say dominant, that would be correct. Noticeable would be another one for Kari Slind from Oppdal. Only 24 years of age, but the bronze medalist a couple of years ago in the under-23 World Skiathlon, and beginning to make a name for herself. And I would think within the next couple of seasons might well be up there with the likes of Weng.
I think so, and introduce the Tour de Ski. It's an experience, and it's a huge learning experience for the younger athletes. As I said earlier, albeit a very tough experience, you learn so much about yourself, recovery and racing.
Austria, Natalie Schwarz, the Austrians who don't exactly have the biggest squad of competitors. But again, here's an athlete who has been involved in World Championships and Olympic Games at a pretty young age, but an outsider today.
Yeah, Therese Stadlober, the best of the Austrians, and managing to get into the top bracket, top 10, often in the World Cup season this year.
Overall, for me, the Swedes have been pretty disappointing. This is Maria Ritges, who's one of the more experienced athletes, but down in 22nd place in the Tour, some 8 minutes plus behind Østberg of Norway. So Novakova of the Czech Republic up the initial 1700 meters, but it was noticeable in the men's race here as they just breast that little rise there. Then they're faced with another steep 400 meters.
They are right up to the 2.1, the high point of the course. And Herman, I'd expected a little more from Denise Herman at the Tour, especially in the sprint. She's a renowned sprinter. Today will suit her, 5 kilometers in the freestyle, and very good tactician as well. She'll pace herself beautifully over this testing course. Flat in the stadium, on the exit, flat on the entry, but undulating out there in the hills.
Interesting to see both in the men's and women's division the emergence of this new generation of Italian cross-country skiers. Lucia Scardoni at 24 would be another of them, and just walking away from you there, Sadie Bjornsson of the United States. I've been really impressed with the American women's team, and there's no doubt that that sprint victory from Sophie Caldwell a couple of days ago has really boosted the spirits of the team. And Caitlin Gregg, well, if you remember, she was something of a surprise bronze medalist over 10 kilometers in Falun last year at the Nordic Ski World Championships. 35 years of age now, but that was a moment, a lifetime best in every sense of the word for Caitlin.
And I think, David, certainly in my 30 years around cross-country and biathlon, I think that was one of the most surprising results ever at a World Championships for Caitlin to take the bronze medal, not taking anything away from her at all. She was a little lucky with the temperatures, getting the early start that she did, but she came away with a bronze medal.
But remember, it was a bit of a surprise, I think, to be fair, for all of us, but she had signposted it in the National Championships. She'd come into Falun as the National Championship, so in a sense for many it wasn't quite the surprise. But this is a disappointment to see Justyna Kowalczyk, a real achiever, you know, multi-achiever in the Tour de Ski, and really struggling to recapture her form.
Well, that's right, the outright most podiums in the Tour de Ski in his history, and just absolutely off form this season. And you know, it must be a very tough time for Kowalczyk right now, from winning the Tour, what, 4 occasions, and now struggling to make the top 15. In fact, 18th at the moment in the standing.
Yeah, that's pretty tough to bear. So the experienced Swede Rydqvist up this first climb. It's a real disappointment for me, Mike, that we don't have another check time point at around about 4 kilometers to give us an idea of that final 1,000-meter rundown, because I think that's going to be really decisive.
It certainly is, and well, here we saw a glimpse of Therese Johaug there. She's just checking her watch for her start time.
Yeah, that victory in Oberstdorf with her was her 10th stage win in the history of the Tour de Ski, and she only needs one more success to equal Marit Bjørgen. Congratulations, of course, as ever, to Marit for the birth of her son just after Christmas Day, in fact. Didn't quite get the timing right, but she must be watching this with fantastic interest, because she was the dominant force last year in the Tour de Ski for Norway.
Stadlober, one of the best of the Austrians, a great season that she is having, former junior world champion. Going back to Marit Bjørgen, David, I think we'll see her here next year.
Well, she's had 5 stage wins here. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the best. Justyna Kowalczyk, we were talking about her, she had 4 wins here. Ariana Follis, you can remember, also she was a winner here. Petra Maric also won a sprint division here in Toblach. So some great athletes over the years have done here, but none better than Marit Bjørgen.
Very much so, and she continued her training long into her pregnancy, and I think we'll see her back before the end of the season, if not World Cup, then FIS races up in Norway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the latter will be very much on her agenda there. She'll want to, I mean, she was training right into December anyway, literally a couple of weeks before the birth of the baby.
That's serious intent when you do that.
Are we surprised?
No. Good start from Denise Herrmann there, pacing it well, easy out of the stadium, and then really attacking up the long climb.
So Denise Herrmann takes the early lead as Topriani starts to make her challenge. Justyna Kowalczyk just going away from us there, some 7 seconds down on Denise Herrmann, but we're into the seeded group of racers, and Jess Diggins not far away from starting. Steffi Böhler, and 1.2 seconds behind her German teammate. And this is really an all-out dash, isn't it? Particularly, I think, Mike, for those who go early, they can be chased more easily because all their times can be fed to those who are starting later. And that applies really to Therese Johaug with this 1 minute advantage going after Østberg. that's going to give her the advantage in terms of, you know, receiving the splits and the messages as to how Ersberg's going to do. But I agree with you. In Ersberg's interview, I think she was being genuine, but I think she was also being canny, because I think in the last 1,500 meters of this race, being the sprinter that she is, she could really turn the power on.
And you know, her staff, the coaches, it must be tough for the coaches. Who do you give the strategies to, the best information? You've got to share it with them all.
Unfortunate fall for Stina Nielsen.
Stina, she was taken out by Kowalczyk in the second race in Oberstdorf, the classic 10 kilometers, and in the sprint competition as well. She was poised, I think, to get the podium, but fell and ended up 6th in the final. So 2 unlucky falls and huge amount of lost seconds and lost possibilities in those falls.
Yeah, Stina Nielsen currently second to the absent Micah Kaspersen-Faller, the Olympic champion who leads the overall World Cup sprint rankings at the moment. So this race is really yet to take off, and still Denise Herrmann from the tiny Stefanie Böhler, Maria Wittquist in 3rd place ahead of Kowalczyk, and the seeded racers really getting underway now. Parmakovsky blowing a little bit hot and cold this season.
Very much. Some days she's up there and touching the podium, some days off the pace by quite a margin, but looking sharper as the Tour de Ski has gone along.
Yeah, a decent 9th, top 10 finish in Oberstdorf in the classic sprint there.
Yeah, I don't think she had the best grip wax. You need your grip wax, and I think she had an unlucky day. It happens, you deal with it, and then you try and put that right the next day. She certainly looked very focused today.
All the way from Alaska, Sadie Björnsson coming up here to challenge for the lead, but that's close enough. That's okay. 2.1 seconds. That's not too bad. But of course, the best of the Americans in the Tour de Ski overall rankings for the women, Jess Diggins in 12th place. But the American team are really beginning to deliver what we started to see a couple of seasons ago, and I think they're going to be a mighty threat in the Nordic Ski World Championships in Lahti next year.
Yeah, very much so, as Moonen starts, and that's this season, David, obviously, of course, without Kikin Randall, their former many multi-winner in sprint competitions and distance competitions.
So getting very close now to the key starters. So Ringwald, yet another German challenge. So this is a pretty good start by the German women's squad, but still Denise Herrmann holding that advantage. Steffi Böhler's gone ahead of Herrmann at 2.1 kilometers by some 7 seconds. So that's an 8-second turnaround. So Böhler traveling well, and Böhler faster than Rydqvist and Kowalczyk, who are all losing time. And America's Liz Steven at the moment at 2.1 kilometers. Slind in to the finish.
I was thinking, David, we might see someone under 13 minutes, although at the moment Seagal with 13:55.
Yeah, Slind at the first 1,700 meters, almost 12 seconds slower than Denise Herrmann, who obviously started later. But the big guns to start very soon. Well, here in Toblach, the women's 5-kilometer freestyle individual test well underway. Mike Dixon with myself, David Goldstrom, and as you see, number 36 getaway, that's Charlotte Kaller, Olympic champion back in 2010 in Whistler, the leading Swedish performer, I should say, in this year's Tour de Ski, in 5th place at the moment. I can tell you that up the first 1,700 meters, United States, Jess Diggins in 4:28.9 has taken a 1.4 second lead over Denise Herrmann, and more significantly a 2.6 second lead over Steffi Böhler. Here comes Parmakovsky, and rather predictably leaking time here. Not terribly rhythmical and not looking particularly comfortable.
That's quite a margin, 13 deficit. She is really renowned more for the classic technique than the freestyle.
And here, the woman who is currently in second place at 1,700 meters, Denise Herman, coming home to take the lead away from Rydqvist by 15.6 seconds. How good that performance is, we've got to see, because as Østberg goes out now this is crucial, the tour leader with a 12-second advantage over Teresa Johaug, her arch rival, who has a minute's advantage in terms of learning the splits as to how Østberg will go. And I think it'll be interesting to see how quickly Østberg attacks, and I would love to have a split at 4,000 meters to see the differential between the two women, but sadly we haven't got that, so it's a little bit of guesswork. But here is the woman, the overall World Cup champion, or World Cup leader as she is in this year's World Cup competition, and she's a star on the snow, she's a star off it. Her fashion business is going really well. She started with gloves, but this year, or I should say at the end of last year, unveiled a complete range of casual clothing, and as a businesswoman and as an athlete, she's managing to manage those brilliantly.
She certainly is. Just comparing the two starts there, David, Østberg and Therese, I thought Therese would go off like the tempo she normally shows us as she's coming towards the line, but there was a lot more control there today. She's been briefed to not panic in that first 1 kilometer.
Ingemarsdottir, not a bad tour, got to say, lying in 8th place. But 6 minutes is the deficit that she's accumulated over the first 5 stages. Very difficult to see her clawing any of that time significantly back. And here comes Steffi Böhler for Germany. And Böhler, who was quicker than Herman. Last time we saw her, she had an advantage of something like 4 seconds. And Böhler, you can see there, losing time to the more established sprinter in the last couple of kilometers. And that's my gut feeling with Østberg.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I would love to see that, but once Therese Johaug gets the scent that she's ahead, or even if there is a deficit, she'll be able to get that information and react accordingly.
Very good performance by Ragnhild Haga in the last of the examinations in Oberstdorf in the 10-kilometer classic, underlining that she's not far away from the very top of the Norwegian female tree.
And we saw in age group terms, you know, the junior world champs at the under-23, that she is another great find, developed very, very well through the clubs of Norway.
Never in my memory, Mike, can I remember Norway being quite as dominant as they are now. Now, Kalle coming up here to challenge the American Diggins at 1,700 meters, 4:28.9. You can see that's the best time up this first climb. It's a very inviting climb, isn't it? It's not a really steep slope. It's a steady gradient.
It breaks you down. I think it's a grind, a continual grind, and the efficiency here of Kalle, the efficiency of movements. I thought she might have 5 seconds on Diggins here, but it's only 2.5. Maintaining that steady efficiency though.
And Herman maintaining her advantage over teammate Böhler. Rydqvist just demoted there by this young woman.
Exhausted Stadlober. I thought that was a good performance from Stadlober, just 6.5 behind Herman.
Interesting, Kowalczyk the best part of 20 seconds behind Herman, but now Østberg
taking 30 seconds out of Jambalova already.
Great balance. Look at the movement here. The upper body absolutely straight up that hill. Power really going down.
Very much so. 3.7 advantage on Kalle. That's good news for Østberg. What's hard to say what Therese behind her is going to do, but that's a very, very strong early pace.
Sadie Bjørnsen something like 10 seconds down on Ørsberg in the early stage of the race there.
10 seconds behind the leader Herman. In Silkom Outlaws Virginia de Martin Toprani mit 21 für Italien.
So Denise Herman in the lead from Steffi Böhler, and then Teresa Stadlober of Austria in third place, Sadie Björnsson in fourth, and Maria Rydqvist in fifth place ahead of Justina Kowalczyk. But now this is the moment we really wanted to see. Johaug, she's getting all the messages as to Ørsberg's progress.
David, this is a very, very tired Johaug, and normally we'd see her somewhat 7 seconds ahead of Ørsberg by this stage. She looks to me exhausted today. She doesn't have the attack that we normally see.
That's a big margin, 6 seconds, but I'll be really interested to see the second split. This is going to be the important one for me, because this stiffer climb is going to come, and that generally might just favour Johaug with her power to weight ratio.
Without a doubt, normally it does, and this early rise, that's why I'm surprised that she's the deficit is so big at the moment behind Ørsberg at 5.7. Normally she just eats up these climbs, so without a doubt, a very tired Therese Johaug.
Ørsberg, Kalla for Sweden, Johaug and Diggins. Now we did propose that Kalla could have a race, but a good race today. But here comes Jess Diggins for the United States to convincingly take the lead.
I love the way she fights. She's in agony. She takes herself way to the pain threshold and well into it, and manages to deal well with that.
And Heidi Weng, who's been consistently gathering in podiums, and 7.3. So, okay, that's slower than Johaug, and it's about a second down on Diggins as well at this particular point, but she's really tough. And of course, Heidi Weng, the third best athlete in this season's Tour de Ski. And remember, Mike, she was third behind Johaug and Bjørgen last year.
Yeah, she can go the distance. She had a couple of off-form days, and in Lenzerheide, her classic, let her down on one of the days, weeping so many seconds. But she's back and looks back in form.
Ørsberg has extended her advantage over Jess Diggins at 2.1 kilometers by another second or two, and Ørsberg over Charlotte Kalla, she was 4 seconds. She's doubled her advantage in the 400 meters, Ørsberg over Kalla, so on that steeper climb. Ørsberg is the lighter of the two athletes.
She is, and Ørsberg, coming up this rise, she looked the most in control. Yes, she's tired, but she was efficient and not panicking. Well, just Johaug has gone through, David, gone through the 2.1, 6.3 seconds behind, so not losing much more on that next little section.
Yeah, just a few hundredths there. And Kerttu Niskanen on her way, and Kolonen about to start. And then the whole field will be on their way.
Well, that's a great early pace from Jess Diggins there, 13.15.
Yeah, home in first place at the moment. Parmakoski isn't going to trouble her. Herman holding on to second place, Böhler third at the moment, but Stina Nielsen also in the group coming home. But they're focusing on Parmakoski, and Parmakoski into fifth place. That's actually not a bad effort there, but the time differential really tells the story. 24 seconds behind Jess Diggins. Unfortunately now it's guesswork, isn't it, Mike, because we just don't know what's happening really between Ørsberg, Johaug and Weng.
Unfortunately, the next chance we'll get to see them is coming into the stadium area. And Ørsberg, the terrain though, David, that final section, the terrain is undulating. A couple of short, sharp climbs, which will suit Teresa, but I think the smoothness of the descent back to the stadium plays ever so slightly into Ørsberg's hands, and she just thought she would lose it today.
Yeah, and you can see there Kerttu Niskanen in seventh place and Kolonen down. So the Finns, actually not a good start there by the Finns. And again, this is, apart from Kalla, looking rather Norwegian at the moment. and Ersberg, I think, wearing the leader's red bib in your picture now on the right-hand side here. I think she's got every chance of not only winning this now. Winning this is really important, not only because of the time that she might gain over Johaug. At the moment, we're looking at 6 seconds, but there's 15 seconds bonus. Now, 21 seconds to add to the 12 that she's got already. That would take her 30 seconds clear of Johaug going into tomorrow's race. And remember that the performances of Johaug over the 15 and the 10 kilometer classic races, by her own words, have been her best ever.
It's going to make it very, very exciting. I wish there was someone else there to separate them.
So 32 coming home here. This is Ida Ingemarsdottir, and just missing out on the podium. So Jess Diggins, another scalp there. Berla still clinging on to a podium position. And that time of Jess Diggins looking pretty good, you know, 13 minutes 15 seconds. It's not going to be good enough to win the race, but it's really respectable. And here is Ragnhild Haga for Norway, 4th in last year's Tour de Ski. You might remember that Norway went 1, 2, 3, 4 in the rankings last year, in the overall rankings.
Do you know what? And I think we're going to see a repeat. We're potential to see a repeat of that this year as well.
But second place behind Diggins, which actually I think pays a compliment to Jess Diggins' performance again. Herman third, Berla off the podium now. So it's America, Norway, Germany, the 1, 2, 3, and now Kalle. Not looking for me as fluent as we've seen her, but she's tough, she's strong.
She certainly is, but no, when you're weeping those Kalle at 2.1 kilometers, 8.7 seconds, she doesn't look like she's found any magic since then.
Well, that's the point. She was virtually even Steven with Jess Diggins. So it's this last race, and you can see there, she's still got to turn into the final 100, and she's not going to make this.
She's lost a huge amount when she was running level with Diggins at the last checkpoint. That just shows the attack which Diggins put in for this final stage.
So on the right of your picture, Charlotte Kalle, multi-world and Olympic medalist, and coming home here. But I'm a little disappointed, because I'd hoped that this would be a day in which she could really show her talent.
She's so talented. Remember the World Championships, 2 gold, 2 silver, and she's so gifted, but not always has the magic, not always on form. Here's Ersberg.
So Ersberg chasing Diggins, and now at 2.1 kilometers. That's a heck of a long way back. Ersberg had an advantage of 8 seconds over Jess Diggins, but Ersberg will be trying to finish and trying to. Let's have a look at this, how she sprints down this final 100 here.
She needs to really sprint, David. If she wants to get the high point and pick up 15 seconds, she needs to get a move on.
Look at this here. This just shows you how quickly Jess Diggins finished and how good that time is. She's not going to make it. And America stay ahead. Jess Diggins first and Ersberg into second place. Haga drops to third. Now, Sophie Caldwell's won a stage for America in the sprint. Could it possibly be another American victory here?
Well, just looking at the movement of Therese Johaug, I can't see Therese now being able to beat Diggins. She's exhausted. She never goes over the top of a hill without carrying big energy over the descent.
Well, she only had a almost 2 seconds advantage, not more than that, over Diggins. But again, that was 2,000 meters ago.
Unbelievable. It just shows the fatigue, and I think especially, David, when you're going to the finals all the time in the sprints, it doesn't ever allow your muscles to recover. Have you ever seen Therese Johaug this exhausted? I haven't.
No, and she's not going to make it either here. And this is a famous day for the Americans. They won a sprint, and now they've won, albeit a short distance, but they've won a short distance now. The difference here is between Johaug and Ersberg, and it's the time differential that matters here most of all. And Teresa, look at the difference there.
No bonus second. She's not going to get the 15, the 10 or the 5.
No, but Erzberg's going to get the 10, and the difference is going to be all important here. Diggins, Erzberg, Haga, and Johaug has lost 8 seconds to Erzberg, plus the 10 for the bonus. So she's lost 18 seconds, and approximately and unofficially, I would think that means that Erzberg will start tomorrow with a 30-second cushion.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It looks to me like Heidi Weng is running slightly ahead of the time that Johaug set, so another athlete to drop her down a little.
Yeah, Heidi, really strong finish here, but she's not going to take it away from Diggins. Nobody's going to take it away from Diggins. And look at that. Well, Heidi Weng into second place. Erzberg drops down to third.
And as Weng dropped across the line, she's just taken away from the hands of Erzberg that 10-second bonus, reducing it to 5.
Yeah, so 5 and what are we saying? 5 and 8, 13 seconds. So the cushion will be about 25 seconds. Still not bad. Well, here's the big question, Mike. You've alluded, watching the body language of Teresa Johaug right the way through this race, the fact that, you know, she hasn't got the energy that we were seeing. So is Erzberg, with her energy now, much more favoured? Because if Johaug is really going to struggle, remember they've got a bit of a drive to do today, not much time to recover before tomorrow's classic race. This all seems to me to be playing into the hands of Erzberg.
It does at the moment, and the body language of Therese Johaug, you know, normally she doesn't allow her opponents to see fatigue, to see a broken body, but today she couldn't hide it. She could not do anything about it.
I want to see a picture of Jess Diggins. I mean, she's going to move up into the top 10 overall of the Tour de Ski. I'm pretty confident with that, and that would be a big gain for her as well. But, you know, a second stage victory in this year's Tour for the United States. So
impressive, and boy, did she have an amazing final 2 kilometers in this race. Jess Diggins found something special.
So
she said she wouldn't be in red. I think we felt that she could well still remain in red.
Very interesting, though, that Heidi Weng goes into second place there and pushes Erzberg down to third.
And it really makes it mind games now, David. Tomorrow it's 10 kilometers. There will be bonus seconds to pick up along that journey, and now it's about the mental strength, I think, of both Johaug and Erzberg.
And Cologne, this is really disappointing for her. She was 4:44 behind in fourth place. It was odds against her picking up a great deal of time, but however, look at the time loss here.
And that's going to move Haga up a little, and in fact Haga may well move ahead of Charlotte Kalla as well. No, in fact, probably just gaining 4 seconds on Kalla.
Yeah, this is...
The Finns will do better tomorrow, sorry, David. We'll do tomorrow much better in the Classic, the 10-kilometer mass start.
Well, Jess Diggins, where are you?
Does she know she's what? Of course she does.
Well, of course she does, yes, but I mean, I'd just really like to see it.
I know.
I'd just like to see somebody put a camera on her so we can see how happy she is, because this is a big moment for her. So Jess Diggins, only 24 years of age. Remember, the silver medalist in Falun over 10 kilometers in freestyle, takes the victory here over the 2 Norwegians, over the 4 Norwegians. There's some scalps she's taken before Kertu Niskanen as the best of the Finnish challengers. And for Jess Diggins, now if I'm right here, Mike, this is not only her first stage win, this is her first World Cup victory. I, unofficially, but by my record, I don't think that Jess Diggins has ever won a World Cup race, and this counts as a World Cup race.
Well, she had her World Championships, of course, silver medal there in the 10-kilometer freestyle.
Yeah, but this is another sort of red letter day, isn't it? You know, not many win World Cup competitions, and look at who she's beaten.
Oh, it's outstanding. The way she attacked that final part of the course today was just phenomenal.
Well, there she is. We've had to wait a long time for that, but I just hope we get some words for her, because there you get it. The first podium, the first win in the World Cup, as well as the first stage win. And I'm sure we're going to hear from her. Here she is.
Jeff.
All right, Jessie, second time in 3 races we have a US skier on top of the podium. Your first World Cup victory. It must be amazing.
I think it's really fun that we have such a strong team, because like Sophie wins and we're all so excited and it gets everybody pumped up. So that helps me want to go fast too. So we feed on the success of each other and the role models of our other teammates, and like it's just so cool for the whole team.
It was fun to watch you as the different athletes were coming across the line that were challenging your time. You were in complete shock that you won today.
Oh yeah, this was a big surprise for everyone, most especially me. So I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it.
Congratulations on your first World Cup win.
Thank you so much.
Mike, that is a total tonic for the sport.
It really is. The team spirit, the positivity, feed off success. So maybe the Norwegian team have challengers. They have certainly today.
Well, after today's terrific race, a change in the Tour de Ski standings. There you can see Therese Johaug now 25 seconds back, Heidi Weng 2:27, then Kolonen drifting back to 5:15 with a teammate 5:29, and Kalle dropping places there as well. And this has been all about Jess Diggins today, with the one exception of Østberg, who is now really looking the stronger of the two leading Norwegians.
It's going to be an amazing battle tomorrow. Who is the stronger? Without doubt, Therese Johaug is a spent force. We saw that 2 days ago in Lenzerheide. In Oberstdorf. She looked like she was beginning to feel fatigue. But Jess Diggins, today, it was all about her, and what a fantastic victory.
Yeah, fantastically paced there by Diggins. And again, you know, look at the bib number there, 24. She was way ahead. All the Norwegian coaches would have had the splits, would be giving that advice, but nobody could catch Jess Diggins today. And that's her strength, isn't it? That's really showing her 10-kilometer strength here, that coming down, you know, those last 2,000 meters, she must have felt really strong. And look at what's happened here now. Østberg, by virtue of her finish today, within 77 points of Therese Johaug in the overall World Cup. And with the bonus 400 points for winning the Tour, we could see, come Sunday, a new World Cup leader in the women's division.
Potentially completely season changeable. And David, when we think about the 8 distance races achieved so far this season, Therese Johaug winning 7 of them, second only once, but today down in 5th place.
So Østberg on her way, but at the end of the day, it was all about America's Jess Diggins. As she said herself, she was surprised. I think we were surprised, but many congratulations to her. America's second Tour de Ski victory, but most of all, the first time that Jess Diggins will have ever stood on the top of a World Cup podium or a Tour de Ski podium, and well done to her. She's moved up into the top 10 overall. She won't be winning the Tour de Ski, but that's one heck of a boost for the American squad, and they are very much team players, the American team, and Jess Diggins has very much arrived. That silver medal in the world, and she's built on that, and today she's really emphasized at the age of 24 that she is a force to be reckoned with.
Without a doubt. And
So that's all we have for you today. The Tour de Ski moves from Toblach to Val di Fiemme. And Mike Dixon and myself, David Goldstrom, look forward to your company tomorrow for the penultimate stage.